There is a glitch in the matrix. I want you to look at a picture of Keanu Reeves from the year 1999. He is fighting Agent Smith. He is 35 years old. Now, look at a picture of him today. He is 60 years old. Technically, he is a senior citizen. But if you put those photos side by side, you can barely spot the difference. Look at Will Smith. He is 55 years old, yet he maintains the muscle mass and recovery speed of an athlete in his 20s. Look at Jennifer Aniston. She looks identical today to how she looked 2 decades ago on Friends. Now, the cynic in you is already making excuses. You are saying it's Botox. You are saying it's expensive surgery. You are saying it's a secret treatment only the rich can afford. And sure, maybe there is some of that, but the truth is much stranger, and it is much more biological. These celebrities share a specific physiological trait with an animal you would never expect: the American lobster. This sounds like a joke, but it is hard science. Did you know that lobsters do not age like humans do? In biology, there is a term for this. It is called negligible senescence. It means that unlike us, they do not get weaker as they get older. They get stronger. A lobster that is 100 years old is faster, more fertile, and has a harder shell than a lobster that is 5 years old. They do not suffer from arthritis. They do not get dementia. They do not lose their energy. In fact, lobsters do not die of old age. They only die if we catch them, or if they get a disease, or if their shell gets too heavy to move. But if you left a lobster alone in a perfect environment, it is theoretically biologically immortal. So, here is the billion-dollar question. What do the lobster and Keanu Reeves have in common? They have both managed to hack the fuse that controls your lifespan. To understand this, we have to stop thinking about aging as a calendar. Everyone thinks aging is about time. We think aging is about birthdays, the earth going around the sun, and gravity pulling on your skin. That is false. Aging is not about time. It is about cellular division. Every single day, your body is a construction site. Your skin cells are dying and being replaced. Your gut lining is shedding. Your immune system is building new soldiers. To do this, your cells have to divide. 1 cell becomes 2. 2 becomes 4. This is the miracle of life. But there is a catch, a deadly catch. Inside every single cell in your body, you have chromosomes. These are the twisted ladders that hold your DNA. I want you to imagine your DNA is a shoelace. You know that little plastic tip at the end of a shoelace? The thing that keeps it from fraying? That is called an aglet. Your chromosomes have aglets too. They are called telomeres. And this is the clock that determines when you die. Every time your cells divide to repair your body, a tiny piece of that plastic tip gets snipped off. Snip, snip, snip. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter. This is what scientists call the Hayflick limit. It is a mathematical countdown. When you are a baby, your shoelaces are long. You have long, protective telomeres. This is why babies heal instantly. This is why their skin is perfect. But by the time you are 50, that plastic tip is almost gone. And when that plastic tip finally falls off, catastrophe happens. The shoelace unravels. The DNA starts to fray. The cell can no longer divide. It can no longer repair itself. But it doesn't just die. That would be too easy. It becomes what we call a senescent cell. I call them zombie cells. These cells are alive, but they are broken. They sit inside your body, refusing to work, and they vomit inflammation into your bloodstream. They tell the cells around them to age faster. This is the moment you see the wrinkles deepen. This is the moment the gray hair takes over. This is the moment your joints start to ache. It is not time. It is the loss of the plastic tip. But the lobster has a secret. The lobster has found a way to stop the snipping. It has an enzyme that rebuilds the plastic tip every single time the cell divides. So the fuse never burns down. And the crazy part? You have that enzyme too. It is sitting inside your DNA right now, asleep. And today, we're going to wake it up. But before we look at how the lobster does this, I want to make a promise. You do not need to move to the ocean. You do not need a prescription. By the end of this video, I am going to give you a specific, 12-minute daily protocol that mimics exactly what I am about to show you. It is free, it is natural, and it is backed by university data. But you cannot hack the system if you do not understand the machine. You need to meet the architect of your own immortality. It is an enzyme called telomerase. Think of telomerase as a little biological construction worker living inside your DNA. His only job is to carry around a bucket of fresh plastic tips. Every time your cells divide and that shoelace gets snipped, this construction worker steps in. He adds a new piece of DNA to the end of the chromosome. He rebuilds the aglet. So, instead of the fuse getting shorter, it stays the same length. Or, in some cases, it gets longer. This is the secret of the American lobster. In lobsters, the gene that produces telomerase is switched on permanently. It is active in their claws, their shells, and their internal organs. So, every time they shed their shell and grow a new one, they are not aging. They are renewing. They are biologically fresh. Now, here is the frustrating part. You have this exact same construction worker inside you. You have the gene for telomerase in every single cell of your body. But for us humans, the construction worker is asleep. When you were an embryo, he was working overtime. That is how you grew from a single cell into a baby in 9 months without aging. But the moment you were born, the gene was silenced. It was switched to off in almost all of your adult tissues. Why? Why would nature give us the tool for immortality and then take it away? Because of cancer. Cancer is essentially a cell that has discovered how to turn telomerase back on to maximum power. It divides endlessly. It refuses to die. That is why we cannot just take a telomerase pill. If you artificially flood your body with this enzyme, you might live longer, or you might grow a tumor the size of a grapefruit. It is a delicate balance. We don't want to turn the switch to maximum. We just want to turn the dimmer switch up a little bit. We want just enough repair to stop the aging, but not enough to cause chaos. So the question is not, do we have the tool? We have the tool. The question is, who turned it off? And more importantly, what is actively destroying the telomeres we have left? It turns out there is a chemical in your blood right now that is acting like a pair of scissors. It is physically snipping your DNA apart, and you are producing it every time you check your phone. The chemical is cortisol. We are used to hearing about cortisol as the stress hormone. We think of it as a feeling. We think of it as that tightness in your chest when you are late for work, or that anxiety when you get a bad email. But to a cellular biologist, cortisol is not a feeling. It is a toxin. When cortisol floods your bloodstream, it does something terrifying to the God enzyme. It reduces the activity of telomerase by up to 50%. It literally handcuffs the construction worker. So, while you are stressed, your cells are dividing, but the plastic tip is not being rebuilt. It is being exposed. This isn't just a theory. This was proven in one of the most famous experiments in the history of anti-aging science. It is known as the caregiver study. A team of researchers led by Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn, who actually won the Nobel Prize for discovering telomeres, wanted to measure the physical cost of stress. They gathered 2 groups of women. The first group was the control. They were mothers of healthy children living normal lives. The second group was the high-stress group. They were mothers acting as full-time caregivers for chronically ill children. These were women living in a state of constant, high-alert anxiety. The researchers took blood samples. They measured the length of the telomeres inside their white blood cells. The results were shocking. The women in the high-stress group did not just look tired. They were biologically older. The women who had been caregiving for the longest period of time had telomeres that were significantly shorter than the control group. How much shorter? Equivalent to 10 years of additional aging. Think about that. The stress had literally stolen a decade of life from their DNA. The scientists coined a term for this. They called it biological weathering. I want you to imagine a rock sitting on the side of a mountain. If the weather is calm, that rock will stay solid for 1,000 years. But if that rock is hit by constant rain, wind, and storms, it erodes. It cracks. It turns into dust. That is what chronic stress does to your body. It is not just in your head. It is weathering your cells. It explains why presidents of the United States enter office looking young and leave 4 years later with gray hair and deep wrinkles. It explains why Keanu Reeves looks so young. He is famously unbothered. He lives a low-stress, low-cortisol life. But here's the problem for you and me. We are not movie stars. We have jobs. We have bills. We have families. We have a phone in our pocket that screams at us every 5 minutes. We live in a world designed to keep our cortisol high. We cannot just stop being stressed. That is impossible. If I told you the cure for aging was to quit your job and move to a private island, that wouldn't be very helpful. We need a way to live in a high-stress world, but protect ourselves from the weathering. We need a shield. We need a way to manually lower cortisol and manually activate telomerase on command. And that brings us to the protocol. This is the exact method used in clinical trials to reverse cellular aging. And it starts with your breath. To build the shield, you need to understand the switch. Your body has a physical cable that connects your brain to your gut and your heart. It is called the vagus nerve. This nerve is the on-off switch for your stress response. When the vagus nerve is asleep, your cortisol is high and your telomeres are being snipped. When the vagus nerve is active, your body enters rest and digest mode. Cortisol drops. Repair begins. The problem is, most of us have a weak vagus nerve. It takes us hours to calm down after a stressful event. We need to strengthen that nerve. We are going to use a 2-step protocol. Step 1 is the emergency brake. This is what you do in the moment of stress. When the email comes in, when the traffic stops, when the fight happens, you are going to use a technique developed for Navy SEALs to lower their heart rate before combat. It is called box breathing. It is simple math that hacks your biology. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold the air in for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold the air out for 4 seconds. 4, 4, 4, 4. Why does this work? When you hold your breath, carbon dioxide builds up in your blood. This signals the vagus nerve to immediately slow down your heart rate to conserve oxygen. It physically forces your body out of fight or flight. You do this for just 2 minutes. That is it. You have stopped the scissors. But stopping the damage isn't enough. We want to repair it. We want to lengthen the shoelace. This brings us to step 2, the daily reconstruction. This is the 12-minute habit, and it is based on a landmark study from the University of California, Davis. They took a group of people and had them practice a specific type of focused attention training, what we often call meditation, for 3 months. But they didn't just ask them how they felt. They measured the activity of the enzyme telomerase in their white blood cells. The results were statistically impossible to ignore. The group that did the daily neural reset had a 30% increase in telomerase activity compared to the control group. 30%. That is a massive biological upgrade. It means their construction workers were working 30% faster. They were rebuilding the fuse faster than the stress could burn it down. And here is the best part. You do not need to be a monk. You do not need to sit on a mountaintop. You just need 10 to 12 minutes a day of open monitoring. This isn't about clearing your mind. It is simply about sitting still and observing your thoughts without reacting to them. Every time you catch your mind wandering and bring it back, you are doing a rep. You are strengthening the prefrontal cortex and calming the amygdala. You are training your body to be safe. If you combine these 2 things, box breathing for acute stress and 12 minutes of focus for chronic repair, you are doing exactly what the lobster does. You are keeping the enzyme active. You are deciding that your biological age does not have to match your chronological age. You are hacking the matrix. There is one final piece to this puzzle. We have handled the stress. We have activated the vagus nerve. But to truly mimic the lobster, we need to look at its environment. Where does the lobster live? It lives at the bottom of the ocean, in the dark. It turns out, darkness is not just an absence of light. It is a biological trigger. When your eyes detect total darkness, your pineal gland releases a hormone called melatonin. Most people think melatonin is just a sleep aid. You take a gummy to knock yourself out on a flight. But that is a massive oversimplification. Melatonin is arguably the most potent antioxidant produced by the human body. Its job is to scavenge free radicals, the rogue atoms that smash into your DNA and damage your telomeres. Think of melatonin as the cleaning crew that comes in at night to sweep up the broken glass. But here is the problem. Melatonin is incredibly shy. If your eyes detect even a tiny amount of blue light from a street lamp outside your window, from the LED on your TV, or from your phone screen, production shuts down immediately. You might still fall asleep, but you are not repairing. You are sleeping in a state of biological twilight. Your cleaning crew never showed up. This is why shift workers, who sleep during the day or under artificial lights, have significantly shorter telomeres than the general population. Their lack of darkness is aging them. So, here is the third step of the protocol, the blackout rule. Tonight, I want you to make your bedroom look like a cave. Get blackout curtains. Tape over the little red light on your TV. Put your phone in another room. If you can see your hand in front of your face, it is too bright. If you cannot block the light, buy a high-quality sleep mask. You need to give your body at least 7 hours of total, uninterrupted darkness. This maximizes your melatonin production. It allows the God enzyme to work without interference. It is the closest thing we have to a regeneration chamber. So now you have the full picture. You know why Keanu Reeves and Will Smith look the way they do. It is not magic. It is not just good genetics. It is the preservation of the fuse. They live lives that prioritize recovery. They manage their cortisol. They protect their sleep. And now you have the tools to do the same. You have the box breathing to stop the immediate damage. You have the 12-minute focus to activate the repair. And you have the darkness protocol to seal the deal. I am going to give you a challenge. For the next 30 days, I want you to live like a lobster. I want you to commit to the 12 minutes of silence every single day. I want you to tape over the lights in your bedroom. And I want you to catch yourself when you get stressed. When you feel that tightness in your chest, stop. Breathe. 4, 4, 4, 4. Don't let the scissors cut the cord. Take a picture of yourself today, and take a picture in 30 days. You might not look 20 years younger in a month. Biology takes time, but you will feel different. You will feel a calmness that you haven't felt in years. You will feel your energy returning. And deep inside your cells, that little construction worker will be back on the job, adding time to your clock. Aging is inevitable, but getting old is a choice. Make the right one.